Okay. Did you see the screen clearly? And my voice is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm going to start the digestion and absorption of all like carbohydrate, fats, and amino acid in our carbohydrate, fats, and proteins in our body. So this diagram, I think all of you are familiar with this diagram. Okay. People will feed using their mouth, and in the mouth there are salivary glands present, which includes sublingual, parotid, and other salivary glands, which actually involves in the synthesis of saliva that contains your salivary amylase, lipase, and other ions, bicarbonates, and etc., which helps in the uh, primary digestion of foods during mastication, process of mechanical digestion. Okay, chewing and mastication will cut foods into the small particles, and then it will enter into the esophagus. From esophagus, food get transported to the stomach. In the stomach, basically the first portion of stomach is known as pyloric. The latter part is known as fundus. This food mixed with the gastric juice, which contains HCl and different gastric enzymes. They digest the food, and digested food enters into the small intestine, where basically further digestion took place with the help of pancreatic juice, liver juice, bile juice, and intestinal juice. And after digestion, most of the leftover of digestion of food like glucose, amino acid, fats, vitamins, waters, calcium, magnesium, iron, and other minerals, vitamins, they get reabsorbed through the process of absorption with the help of your microvilli, which are present on the internal walls of the intestine. And then the remaining leftover food, which is known as the chyle and chyme, it enters into the large intestine. In large intestine, basically there is no digestion happens, only the absorption of water and minerals took place. And from this large intestine, food enters into the rectum, then cecum, and then excreted out through the process of defecation. Okay, this overall physiology of the body, I think everybody knows. We can just quickly learn about these things further in details. And actually, digestive system basically helps to absorb micronutrients and trace elements, and also it sets a physical and immunological barrier. Carbohydrate finally broken down into the sugar molecule, proteins into the amino acid, and fats into the fatty acid and cholesterol. Uh, Several enzymes took part in the process of digestion of foods, and there is a long list of enzymes. So you can see in this slide, as I already mentioned, these all process in my first slide only. Like in salivary juice, salt and water, mucus is present, amylase is present, which helps in the chewing, mastication, lubrication, and starch digestion. Okay, in esophagus, food just lubricate, and through peristaltic movement, it enters into the stomach. In the stomach, it interacts with the acid, HCl, pepsin, and mucus. Here, basically, proteolytic digestion happens, and from here it enters into the small intestine, where pancreas, pancreatic and liver juice, which basically contains enzymes and bile acids, cholesterol, bicarbonates, and other essential micronutrients, which helps in the which facilitates the digestion process further. They mix with the food and start food digestion. And in the in the small intestine, absorption also facilitates. And in large intestine only, the absorption of water and minerals took place. Okay, so this all we know about, and this is the process of muscular contraction, which helps in the movement of food throughout the gastrointestinal tract, and this process is known as peristalsis. Okay, so salivary amylase is also known as ptyalin, and normally a person produces 1.5 liters of saliva daily. Okay, which helps to lubricate the food, and it also contains lysozyme, which kills bacteria. Tongue basically have tongue receptor, taste receptor, which gives us feeling of sweet, sour, salty, bitter, or savory flavor of the food. Enzymes also helps in the fatty acid digestion. So this is the overall diagram of mouth and the structures which helps in the digestion and swallowing of the food. And in the mouth, when food gets swallowed down, it's known as the bolus. In esophagus, basically peristaltic movement, and that is muscle contraction, helps to move the food from mouth to esophagus and then to stomach. In a stomach, basically 4 cups of food can be stored, and HCl, gastric lipase, proteases are released basically in gastric juices, and hormones gastrin and intrinsic factor B12 helps in the digestion of food here. Stomach secretes about 2000 to 2500 ml of gastric juice daily. You should all know about the volume of gastric juice or saliva, because this is necessary, as we also have to read same topic in nutritional biochemistry paper. So you should be well aware about the composition and quantity of these juices, because this is also important in stomach function test and liver function test and kidney function test, which we are going to discuss in our second paper, nutritional biochemistry paper, in the 5th unit. So in the stomach, pH is very low, usually 1 to 4, and which helps in killing of many bacteria and microorganisms. Achlorhydria, gastrectomy, GI dysfunction or disease increases the risk of bacteria overgrowth in the intestine. Achlorhydria means absence of HCl. Okay, HCl actually kills microorganism. If it will not produce, it will increase the risk of bacterial overgrowth. Protein digestion begins with pepsinogen, which is converted into active pepsin in acidic environment. Chief cells of stomach basically secrete acid stable gastric lipase, which has minor effect on shorter chain triglycerides. Basically, liquid meal exits in 1 to 2 hours, and most of a solid meal in 2 to 3 hours from the stomach. And the food which digested in the stomach is known as chyme, and mucus layer protects stomach from digestion, and very little absorption of nutrients occur in stomach. So this is the overall physiology of a stomach, and here from stomach the food enters into the small intestine. Stomach acid, you all know, it assists the calcium absorption and dietary minerals absorption. It activates the digestive enzymes and partially digests the protein. Then from here, food enters into the small intestine through duodenum, which is around 0.5 meter, jejunum 2 to 3 meter, and ileum 3 to 4 meter. In a small intestine, villi are present, which increases the absorption surface area and helps in the absorption process. This is the overall structure of a small intestine. Nutrient absorption takes place in intestine. Through the process of phagocytosis and pinocytosis, absorptive cell engulfs the compounds. So this is the overall nutrient absorption process. It is carried out inside the cell through the process of phagocytosis and pinocytosis. You all know phagocytosis means cell eating, pinocytosis means cell drinking. So absorption of monosaccharides, amino acids and free fatty acids and glycerol takes place in the in a small intestine. From here they absorb and send back to blood and lymph. And from blood they move back to liver and general circulation. Basically liver detoxifies and repackages all the elements. So large intestine, it is around half a feet in length. Villi are absent and enzymes are, few enzymes are present here. And little digestion occurs, mainly absorption of water and minerals occur. Here the bacteria present in larger intestine, they produce vitamin K, and formation of feces and elimination take place in large intestine. So this is the overall structure of large intestine. Through rectum and anus, defecation occurs. Many sphincters like voluntary are present in large intestine and some in small intestine, which prevents the food movement, which prevents the back food movements, and they also helps in timely elimination of food from the body through voluntary control. Accessory organs like salivary glands, pancreas and gallbladder and liver, they are accessory organs because they just produces juices. They are not directly involved in digestion process. They just produces juices for the digestion. Okay, so they are accessory organ. We already studied about the saliva and salivary action on the food. This diagram just depict the presence of parotid gland, sublingual gland, accessory parotid gland and parotid gland, which involves in the formation of saliva. Pancreas, basically, this is the endocrine gland. It secretes glucagon and insulin, and also the pancreatic juice also contains bicarbonates, which neutralize the chyme, which is acidic in nature when it enters into the small intestine. So liver is the largest endocrine gland in the body. It basically produces bile juice through enterohepatic circulation, and this bile juice helps in the fat digestion and assimilation. So this is the structure of gallbladder. It releases bile juice into the small intestine. This is the overall structure of human digestive glands and structures. Basically starts from the salivary gland and ends to the rectus and anus. So the secretion, digestion and absorption basically took place through following path. Carbohydrate are digested first, then they are followed by protein digestion, and then fat, and then fibrous food. Okay, so saliva contains ptyalin, which acts on the starch, and gastric juice contains pepsin, which hydrolyzes protein and peptides. Gastric lipase acts on the fats, and the pancreatic lipase acts on the fats and hydrolyze it into the triglycerides and fatty acids. Cholesterol esterase and alpha amylase is also present in pancreatic juice, which helps in the digestion of cholesterol and starch. Trypsin basically acts on the proteins, trypsin, chymotrypsin, and carboxypeptidase, ribonuclease, and elastase, which is present in pancreatic juice. They act on the various subsequent respective substrates and perform their hydrolytic activity. Brush border enzymes like your carboxypeptidase, aminopeptidase, and dipeptidase, they hydrolyzes polypeptides into amino acid. Enterokinases basically activates the trypsinogen into trypsin. Sucrase act on the sucrose. Similarly, other enzymes like isomaltase, maltase, lactase, they act on their respective substrate dextrine, maltose, and lactose. Nucleotidases and nucleosidases and phosphorylases are also present in the juices, and they act on nucleic acid, nucleosidases, and hydrolyze them. 92 to 97% of diet is absorbed in the small intestine, and basically villi and microvilli helps in the absorption process. This is the overall structure of human intestine and villi, microvilli, and refeeding after starvation, GI tract compromised after starvation. Feeding results in cellular proliferation, which restores normal gastrointestinal architecture and function after a few days. Basically, lipid digestion takes place in a small intestine because bile juice is secreted there only. Okay, so you know all about it, and this is all about summary of fat absorption. All fat get digested when it interacts with bile salts and get assimilated and digested and absorbed in intestinal cell wall. So transport pathways involves actually simple diffusion and active transport. Small molecules get simply diffused inside the cell, but larger molecules requires energy for their transportation. And the process is known as active transport. In large intestine, some nutrients, vitamin K, thiamine, vitamin B12, and riboflavin produced, and they will be basically gradually broken down into the they will be gradually absorbed in the large intestine for the normal physiological process. This is overall the flow chart, which shows how larger molecule get broken down into the smaller molecule. This is the overall process of carbohydrate metabolism, which one can see here. The action of alpha amylase produces different varieties of monosaccharides and disaccharides, and finally they get broken down into the glucose, which get absorbed through the cell membrane into the other part. Okay, so glucose transporter basically needs sodium carrier and active what I have explained you earlier, GLUT, the glucose transporter proteins. Okay, so sites of secretion and absorption, basically this figure depict you the sites of secretion and absorption into the whole gastrointestinal tract, and you can see one by one how like stomach, basically here alcohol absorption occurs. Okay, in duodenum, various compounds like chloride, iron, calcium, magnesium, zinc, glucose, galactose, maltose, vitamins, thiamines, several types of vitamins, cholesterol, they get absorbed in a small intestine. And in the large intestine, sodium, potassium, vitamins, and water, it absorbs in our large intestine. Various neurotransmitters helps in the process of digestion. They facilitate, this is the neuroregulation of digestive process, like alpha amino butyric acid, they relaxes our digestive enzymes, and norepinephrine decreases motility and they increases contraction of sphincters and inhibits secretions. Acetylcholine basically increases motility and relaxes sphincters and stimulates secretion. Neurotensin inhibits release of gastrin, emptying, and acid secretion. Neuropeptide gamma stimulates feeding behavior. So all these neurotransmitters helps in some way or in other way to regulate the digestive process. Basically, gastrin and hormone is a local hormone. It actually stimulates the secretion of hydrochloric acid from the hydrochloric acid and pepsinogen from the stomach. And secretin, another hormone, basically activate duodenal mucosa to stimulate and also stimulate pancreas to secrete water and bicarbonate. And it also stimulate pancreas to secrete insulin and pancreatic enzymes. Cholecystokinin actually acts on gallbladder, and it influences the secretion of bile juice from the liver. And apart from that, it also helps in the movement of small bowel, and it also stimulates the secretion of pancreatic enzymes and HCl. Gastric inhibitory polypeptide, it basically release from small intestine and in presence of glucose and fats, and inhibits the gastrin-stimulated release of gastric acid. Other hormones like motiline, it released from the stomach and small and large intestine in presence of biliary and pancreatic secretions, and promotes the gastric emptying and increases the GI motility. Somatostatin. Somatostatin basically released from stomach, pancreas, and upper small intestine in presence of acidity and products of proteins and fat digestion. And what it does, it basically inhibit release of gastrin, motiline, and pancreatic secretions, and decreases motility of GI tract. So this is overall the physiology of digestion and absorption. And if anybody have any question, you can please ask. And